Hello everyone. Today I will recap the movie Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. This is an extremely attractive science fiction war movie. If you watch this movie, you will not regret every minute you spend on it. The movie takes place on a planet called Motherworld, where the royal family has ruled for thousands of years. However, because of greed and thirst for power, they have exhausted their planet's resources. They decided to use the army to conquer other planets, in order to expand their empire throughout the universe. Eventually, the king and queen are assassinated, giving the invaded planets an opportunity to rise up in revolt. Therefore, Sergeant Belisarius took power and proclaimed himself regent. After that, he sent his most brutal troops to destroy all the rebels without mercy. On another planet called Velt, where the land is fertile and suitable for farming, there is a small settlement of farmers. After their daily work, they often stop by the beer hall to relax and relieve stress. Kora is a war orphan from another planet. She arrives on this planet and is currently in a relationship with Gunnar, a diligent hunter. Her foster uncle likes Gunnar very much and has advised her to accept him. However, Kora is not ready to think about it yet. The next day, while Kora and the others are plowing the fields, she suddenly sees the Motherworld Empire's flying ship flying overhead. She immediately realizes the danger and runs to ring the town bell to warn everyone. The village chief Sindri has gathered the villagers to discuss the ship. The others are also confused and worried, fearing that war is about to happen. However, Gunnar argued that they should welcome the Motherworld, as it was a wealthy empire. They will buy food at 3 times the price farmers sell it for elsewhere. However, Kora immediately objected, explaining that the Motherworld Empire's ship flying had come only to plunder the villagers' property. Their purpose was to destroy, dominate, and oppress the people. After that, an argument broke out. However, before they could give out to a conclusion, the Empire's ship arrived near the village. The Empire's most brutal admiral, Noble, on behalf of the Motherworld came to Sindri and greeted him with a hug. Noble said that he was looking for a rebel group led by the brothers Devera and Darian Bloodaxe. In addition, his army was in need of food. However, Sindri lied that their land did not produce much, so the harvest was only enough to feed themselves them, and there was no surplus to sell. Noble did not believe it because everyone here was healthy, proving that they were well fed. To ease the situation, Gunnar explained that they still had to stock up on food for the coming winter, but could still sell some to Noble at a reasonable price. Unfortunately, Noble was still angry at being deceived. Too angry, Noble grabbed his stick and beat Sindri to death, causing everyone to panic. When Sindri's wife ran to her husband, a nearby guard stabbed her with a glowing blade and killed her instantly. Noble then announced that he would return in 10 weeks, and asked them to prepare 10,000 bushels of food by all means. After the announcement, Noble and his ships departed, leaving a group of soldiers and a robot Jimmy behind to monitor progress. The soldiers immediately asked the villagers to leave their homes to use the place as a military base. Private Eris activated Jimmy, a robot who had served the king. After the royal family was murdered, all the robots had given up their weapons and refused to fight. Therefore, the few remaining robots only assist soldiers with everyday tasks. While Jimmy was helping Eris carry their belongings, Marcus shot the Jimmy in the head. Then, Jimmy fell to the ground without reacting or defending himself. Eris immediately rushed in to stop Marcus and was almost killed by him, but Fornus intervened in time, stopping both of them and asking them to go to work. Next, Fornus proceeded to check on Jimmy to make sure he was unharmed and instructed him to wash off the mud on his body. At the riverbank, as Jimmy was washing his face, Sam approached him to befriend him and listen to his story. Jimmy said that Sam reminded him of an imperial princess who was killed along with her parents by traitors. Sam comforted Jimmy that the princess would always live in his heart and gave him a wreath. This action seemed to have stirred some emotion in Jimmy Robot's eyes. At the town hall, the villagers repeatedly criticized Gunnar and said that they needed to work harder to prove their superior agricultural abilities. They believed that only in this way will Motherworld not attack them. However, Kora was disappointed that no one would listen to her warnings, so she started packing her things to leave. Kora's uncle advised her not to leave but to find the rebels and cooperate with them to protect the village. However, she refused because she knew that they would have no chance of winning Motherworld and another massacre would happen. In the evening, when Sam brought water to the soldiers, they immediately noticed her and dragged her inside, wanting to commit lewd acts on her. This time, only Eris stood up to protect Sam. He tried to hit one soldier, Marcus, but because the number of soldiers was too large, they quickly overwhelmed him and beat him up. Immediately after, Marcus approached near Sam. At that moment, Kora could have left, but when she heard Sam's miserable screams, she couldn't bear it. Grabbing the axe beside her, she stepped forward to confront the soldiers. However, Fornus underestimated her, thinking that she was just a woman weak, so he ordered his subordinates to attack her. At first, Kora pretended to surrender, but then she swiftly took down 2 soldiers with a few simple. It seemed that she had a lot of experience in combat, so she had no difficulty confronting the group of soldiers. Kora defeated each soldier one by one with accurate shots and savage stabs. At this moment, a soldier tried to shoot her from behind, but luckily, Ares saw it and took him down first. Meanwhile, Marcus saw a situation the danger and tried to shoot Kora, but she quickly disarmed him and turned his own gun on him, shooting him in the head. At this critical moment, only Fornus was left, using Sam as a hostage by holding her neck at gunpoint. This rendered Kora and Ares helpless. At this moment, the robot Jimmy appeared. Fornus ordered Jimmy to pick up the gun to kill Ares and Kora. However, Jimmy did the opposite. He held the gun, but instead of targeting Ares and Kora, he shot and killed Fornus. Jimmy then fled away. Villagers heard the gunshots and rushed over. They witnessed Kora killing a soldier who was lying dying on the ground. At this time, she advised everyone to stand up and fight, because Motherworld would slaughter the village to take control of its resources. She urged the villagers to take a stand and fight back, and she also promised to help them, but first, she needed to gather more forces. Before, Gunnar had sold their food to the rebels, so she asked him to take her to the city to meet that person. Before they left, Kora's uncle gave her a special gun that he found on her ship 2 years ago. After go some distance, at night, Gunnar and Kora decided to stop and camp. Kora shared her story with Gunnar. It turns out she was once a warrior of Motherworld. When Kora was only 9 years old, an Imperial army led by Belisarius attacked her home planet, causing death and destruction everywhere. One evening, Kora stole a gun, but was discovered by Belisarius. He approached her and mocked her for being so young. Belisarius decided to just kill her family, and kept her as his henchman. During those years, Kora trained and learned about the history of Motherworld, and joined the Empire's military at the Milithium Military Academy. There, they planted in the hearts of soldiers the desire for a noble love. A beautiful love motivates them to sacrifice their lives for their homeland. Due to, Kora lost her lover in the war. So she fought tirelessly for revenge, and at the age of 18, she became a commander. During those years, she was just a pawn in their brainwashing, and she destroyed thousands of towns under the banner of those who killed her family. The next day, Kora and Gunnar arrive in the port city of Providence, and discover that bounty hunters have captured the man they were looking for. Gunnar had no other way to reach the rebels, so they would go find the legendary General Titus first. Kora and Gunnar enter a tavern. There, and Newton, mistaking Gunnar for Kora's slave, offers to buy him. However, Kora refuses and chases him away. He immediately became aggressive, holding a knife to Kora's neck. However, she immediately threw the mutant off, easily overpowering him and throwing him to the floor. Realizing his mistake, the mutant immediately ran away. Meanwhile, a mysterious man named Kai has been watching them from the shadows. Suddenly, Kora loudly announces that she is looking for Titus, hoping someone can sell her information about him. At this time, a small spider mutant tells Kora that Titus is fighting in the Pollux arena. This means they will need a ship to fly there. At this moment, the mutant that Kora had beaten earlier returned with 3 bodyguards to take revenge. A gunfight ensues, causing the people in the tavern to flee in panic. While Kora draws her gun and fights off 3 bodyguards, Gunnar tries to fight off the mutant, but his punches have no effect. Fortunately, Kora defeats the mutant before he can kill Gunnar. As she turns to kill the last bodyguard, the mutant attacks her from behind. At that moment, Kai runs out and shoots him. Kai then pickpockets the dead people in that tavern, and offers to take Kora and Gunnar to Pollux to meet Titus if they pay him money. As they take off, Kai told them that he knew a farm owner named Hickman on the New Woody border where there would be someone who could help them. So they agreed to stop it on New Woody first. Gunnar is surprised to see the ship flying in space. Meanwhile, on the main Imperial ship, Nober is smoking directly from a pipe connected to his body. At this time, a soldier arrives to inform that the bounty hunter has captured the informant, and Nober orders the person to be brought to him. Sometime later, the Kora group arrives in New Woody and meets a rancher named Hickman, who owns a slave named Turok. In the past, Turok had fought against the Empire, but then he was captured and enslaved. He is eager to fight again, but at that time, he was deeply in debt to Hickman. At this time, Hickman makes a condition. If Turok can tame a giant eagle-like monster called Benyu, he will be freed. If he failed to tame it, both Kora and Gunnar would become Hickman's slaves. They agreed to the bet. and Turok began to approach the Benyu monster. It shook its body vigorously in an attempt to break free from its chains. Turok knelt down to show that he meant no harm and said that they were both the same, since they were both imprisoned. With his sincere words, he was able to subdue Benyu. After gently touching its head, Turok freed Benyu from its chains and mounted its back. Turok and the Benyu monster flew into the sky together. However, while Turok was piloting the monster, it had difficulty and crashed into the cliffs a few times. Unfortunately, Turok fell off the edge of the cliff, but he quickly jumped to land on its back again. Now, both Turok and the Benyu monster were more adept at flying, and returned to the New Woody farm without any problems. Hickman also kept his word, and he allowed Turok to leave with Kora's group. Afterwards, Hickman smugly tried to ride the beast Benyu, but was thrown off and killed by the beast's claws. Kora was impressed with Turok. She asked Kai if he knew anyone who could help her, and Kai took her to meet many other warriors. They went to the Koban mining planet, Dagus, and met the sword woman Nemesis. However, Nemesis was then busy dealing with a personal mission. She was pursuing Heminder, a spider-like mutant whose children had been killed by the Empire. Out of hatred, it kidnapped a human child to demand justice. Nemesis tried to explain that the child's mother had also lost her child to the Empire, but Heminder refused to listen because if it sympathized with others, who would sympathize with it? Heminder then attacked Nemesis. At first, she only used her sword to dodge the attacks, but realized that she could not defend forever, so she had to cut off one of Heminder's legs to make it release the child. Meanwhile, Gunnar approached the child and rescued her. Heminder was furious, continuously attacking Nemesis with his legs, knocked and stabbed her in the arm. However, Nemesis has a robot arm, so she can still fight. Heminder knocked her down again, trying to kill Gunnar and the child. With no other choice, Nemesis could only stab it from behind, then used her gauntlet to ignite her sword, and started attacking Heminder's spider body, slashing a long way into its abdomen. Nemesis then used both swords to stab Heminder's body, instantly killing the spider woman. However, she also felt very sad because Heminder was just a victim. She then agreed to join Kora's group. They boarded the ship together, and during that time, Kora asked Gunnar why he saved the child. He replied that the reason was the same as when she saved Sam. At this point, Kora decided to share more about her past. As the adopted daughter of Belisarius, she had a privileged life and quickly joined the Royal Guard. Her mission was to protect the Motherworld princess Isa, who had the special ability to give life. To this day, Kora still feels guilty for not being able to save the princess on the day of the attack. Sometime later, Kora's group went to Pollux to visit the Castor Arena, where dozens of warriors died every day. Here, they met General Titus, who was in a filthy state, and they had to drag him in to bathe, but he strongly objected. Titus was the former commander of the Eastern army of the former king, but he fell into a state of depression when his army was ambushed and all his soldiers were killed. Titus initially did not want to participate in the war, but then he changed his mind when he heard Kora say that if he could not atone for his sins, then he should avenge his lost soldiers. Meanwhile, the bounty hunters brought the rebels' contact person to Noble. Noble promised to release him if he provided information about the Blood Axe brothers. The contact revealed that the Blood Axe brothers were being protected by King Levitica and Saran. Noble immediately killed him. Sometime later, Kora's group arrived in Saran and met King Levitica, who agreed to arrange a meeting for them with the rebels. Soon after, the Blood Axe brothers showed up with their army. Kora told him about his war, admitting that the chances of winning were slim, but also pointing out that they would remuneration with surplus food. So she urged the rebels to at least protect their villagers. Darian Bloodaxe agreed to help, and delivered an inspiring speech to rally volunteers from his army. Many soldiers stepped forward to join him. Afterwards, Kora's group left, along with their new allies. Kai expressed that he was inspired by Kora and wanted to help the villagers fight. However, he had some goods to deliver, so Kora agreed to stop at Gondavel for Kai to deliver them before returning home. Soon after Kora's group left, Noble and his men found the king of Levitica and destroyed his kingdom because he refused to cooperate with him. As a result, Noble killed him. After Noble's army finished blowing up the area, he received a message telling him where to find the rebels. Hours later, Kora's group arrived at Gondavel and helped Kai unload the cargo onto a bridge. However, Kora observed Kai talking to the locals and sensed something was wrong. Suddenly, a Noble spaceship arrived and opened fire, shooting down most of ship Kora's group. Shortly after, a group of robots that had been ambushing earlier captured most of her group. Everything happened so quickly that no one had time to react. Her bravest group of warriors was also completely controlled. At this point, Kai also revealed his true intentions. He had known for a long time that Kora was a wanted former commander with a large reward. Therefore, he used her to gather another group of legendary warriors who were also wanted in order to hand them over to Noble for a huge reward. Noble then appeared with his men and took Kora's gun. While Kai pushed Gunnar away, he said that Gunnar was just a farmer, so they would let him go if he killed Kora. At first, Gunnar pretended to shoot Kora, but at the last second, he saved her and turned around to shoot Kai. Kora immediately charged at a soldier and knocked him down to steal his gun. She then ran away when Noble's men opened fire. She tried her best to return fire and blew up a box, causing a huge explosion, sending all the enemies fly far away. Gunnar also took the opportunity to free the other warriors. Soon after, Nemesis started attacking the enemies with his sword. Darien pushes a soldier off the bridge and ordered his pilots to return to the ship, so they survived the attack. As the battle ended, Turok, Titus, and Gunnar attempted to gather some guns to protect Nemesis as she continued to cut down enemy soldiers with her sword. At the same time, Noble ordered the hidden spaceship to appear. It immediately fired on the rebel ship to protect his army. Darien then took a metal bar and used it to defeat the enemy soldiers. He then made his way to the bridge and jumped onto the enemy ship. Unfortunately, he failed to stab the pilot, who dodged the bar and shot at Darien. However, Darien kept trying, and this time he killed the pilot, stopping the attack. But in the process, he was unlucky and had to sacrifice. His body fell onto the controls, causing the ship to slowly fall towards bridge. Furious at the loss, Kora left his hiding place, ran across the bridge, and fired at the enemy soldiers while approaching Noble. At that moment, the ship crashed, destroying most of the bridge, but Noble saved himself by landing on a floating platform. Suddenly, Kora appeared behind him, starting a fist fight with him. Kora and Noble attack each other with extremely powerful punches. After a fierce battle, Noble knocks Kora off the platform, but she manages to grab the rope. Noble tries to untie the rope, but Kora clings on, using the rope as a whip to knock Noble down before climbing back up. The fight continues, with Kora using the string to block the Noble staff, eventually she breaking staff and stabbing a small piece into his leg. Noble tries to fight back, but he is outmatched. Kora breaks his arm and stabs him in the chest with the staff before pushing him off the podium. Turok then uses the rope to pull the platform closer to the bridge to rescue Kora. The survivors of Kora's group have returned to the Veld, where they are preparing to defend the area in the future. Nearby, Jimmy watches them and dons a strange crown. Meanwhile, the military retrieves Noble's body. Instead of healing his wounds, they open his body to connect to his nervous system, realizing that he is also a robot. As water flooded around Noble's body, his consciousness appeared before Belisarius, who criticizes him for failing. Belisarius ordered Noble to capture Kora, a girl with terrible destructive powers, so that he could kill her himself and deter those who dared to betray him. Belisarius then finished breaking the ice to bring Noble's consciousness back into body. The doctors found no activity in Noble's brain, so they were forced to inject him with a powerful drug to revive him. Noble cries out in pain, but eventually comes back to life. Thank you for watching. If you find it interesting, don't forget to leave a like and comment to share your thoughts on this movie. Especially subscribe to the channel to follow my latest movie recap. See you again.